You have a client that is nasty, that is absolutely making your life a living hell. Or maybe your client isn't following what you want them to do. Maybe they're talking smack. Maybe they're doing a whole mess of stuff. How do you have the conversation with them that can allow you to go from point A, where you're at with them, the pit, the very uncomfortable position, to point B, either with them as a great client or letting them go and being in a place of power, being in a place where you have abundance and maybe even get other clients because of what you did. What's up? It's Dean Soto yet again. I just had a little bit of num over there. You're hungry. This is my protein and carbs, whatever. Gotta keep looking good. You got a sneak peek. Look at this. This is normally have my green screen in the background. I was doing a podcast interview. I had somebody interviewing me on a podcast called Coffee Break Podcast, and I decided not to do the green screen. You get to see my entire office. Very 70s. I have like a little cigar or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, let's get to it. Oh, so clients can be amazing. Having customers, having a business, in whether your client is, maybe you have a full-time job and your client is your boss, or it's somebody that you work with or whatever, or you actually have paying clients, paying customers who you are providing a product or service to. They can be amazing, but they can also be extremely stressful when you have the type of client that is not in line with what you would expect your clients to be like. So what do you do? Well, there are a couple of things that have gotten me from point A, where I just literally would stress out about losing that client and losing the revenue and losing the obviously monthly recurring revenue or yearly or whatever it might be. That place of scarcity to being pretty okay with cutting clients out when they are not acting in accordance with how I want them to act and being in my world. And that comes down to a couple of things. But the very first portion of this is self-belief. Yes, do you believe in what you are selling? Do you believe that you are giving the best product and service possible? Do you believe that you are giving the best of yourself? Or are you just hoping nobody finds out? Hoping nobody finds out that what you're doing isn't that great, or it's okay, right? This is probably the cornerstone of the whole foundation that you need in order to be empowered to do some of the cool stuff that I'm going to share in just a second. So, all that being said, I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you two stories. When I was first running, I'll just say the when we started really building out what we have with Prosulum as it is now, prosulum.com, which is essentially outsourcing. We're an outsourcing agency. And I had this one client who, let's call him Sam. I actually forgot his name. But he ran a couple of different businesses, one of which was this really neat coconut franchise. And the coconut franchise got their coconuts from Thailand. And it was, what they would do with it is they would make ice cream with them. They would make pudding with them. They'd make all these really cool things. And it tasted so amazing. Absolutely wonderful. And so they ended up becoming a client because a lot of restaurant franchises, if you've ever ran a restaurant, margins are super thin. And so anything you can do to save on costs, which obviously if you're outsourcing, you're going to save a lot on costs. They loved what we were doing. So we started working with them, and for a good amount of time, they were great customers. I think it was because of, this was years ago, but I think they were already starting to have a little bit of supply chain hiccups because they really wanted to get these coconuts from Thailand and bring him over. And I think something within that ended up just messing up. Well, slowly but surely, they kind of stopped paying, or they would pay late. And then they would start demanding things. They would start asking for more than what we had agreed to in our agreement. And it got to the point where they were asking, but they weren't paying. And so the old me, which was very scarce, this was, keep in mind, this was a relatively new portion of the business. I was making money in other ways, but to lose a client is several $1,000s a month, that's a pretty big deal, right? And I was stressed out. I was thinking of how to say it, what to say, how to have him continue to be a client, and so on. I was super, super stressed out. Eventually, it got to the point where one of my principles is that you do not ever treat your VSA, a virtual systems architect. They're like virtual assistants, but way, way, way better. So check out prosulum.com, prosulum.com. You never mistreat them. And they were starting to do that. And then they were also obviously mistreating me. And I remember I was in Fullerton, California, driving from another client who was absolutely wonderful. And I ended up sending I ended up sending an email saying, hey, how do I say it? Essentially, we are not a good fit anymore. And he came back and argued that no, we were a good fit. And essentially I said, no, we're done, cut, done. And he came back finally with, oh yeah, well, your YouTube videos suck anyway, and all this other stuff sucks about you. And as we say in West Hollywood, have a nice life. And I've never heard from him again. Unfortunately, that Cocoa place ended up closing down. I actually liked it, but it is what it is. I'm not sure how his other businesses are doing, but was not a very nice guy. He refused to follow our systems. He started being nasty, all these different things. And had I kept him around, because he wanted to get on the phone and talk and everything like that, had I kept him around, it would just cause more stress and more stress and more stress on me and the account managers. Not a good thing, right? Not a good thing. So in that situation, one of my major tenets with handling clients is that if they are not a good fit for my world, if we are not able to deliver amazing value to them and they are absolutely appreciative, they don't need to be in our world. You can go elsewhere. Go. Try and find a better place, which you won't, but go and try and find somebody else or somewhere else, and that is totally 100% fine. So really having that self-belief that you are delivering an amazing product, amazing service is one of the foundations for communicating with your clients. Okay. Now, on the flip side, you have those clients, you do have clients who maybe don't think the way you do or are struggling. And with those clients, you can help. You can start doing things like getting on Zoom calls. I'll get on Zoom calls with some of my clients and I'll help them and everything like that. But I still do what's called reframe or framing or even pre-framing. And essentially what framing in general is you are putting something in their mind that is I would say a worldview in their mind. Okay. You are making it to where, so a frame might be, hi, I'm Dean. I'm an entrepreneur and I run a Inc. 5000 fastest growing company. And if you want to work with us, you have to be a systems mindset type person. You have to have systems in mind. If not, we're not a good fit. If you are, then we are going to help you crush it in the next year. So already I'm setting the frame that one, look, I'm an authority. I'm running Inc. 5000 fastest growing company business. So we're not just, don't think that I'm just a brand new business, right? And then look, there's two types of people. There's the systems mindset people and the non-systems mindset people. Which one are you? If you are not a systems mindset person, you are not part of our world. If you are going to crush it. That's the frame. That's the frame of what it's like to work with us. Okay, what it's like to work with my company. So with customers who are struggling, you need to start setting up frames and need to start setting up things that help them along. So with us, we have customers who are just not very totally systems mindset driven. They are a little bit. And what we do is we frame ahead of time that, look, 30 days, you have 30 days. If you did a video every day, 5 minutes a day for 30 days, you will automate, you will get rid of 50 to 60, maybe even 70% of what you're doing right now. Okay. So you're already kind of framing ahead of time, look, you need to do these videos. And so then if they don't do it, you can say, hey, did you do the videos that we said? You set up these frames ahead of time that allow you to communicate expectations like that. All right. So for us, we do that in our onboarding. Hey, first video needs to be done by your onboarding call. And then from then on, 5 minutes a day, for 30 days, need to do videos and get those documented and have your VSA, your virtual systems architect, document and actually do the tasks that you're having them do. Okay. So really part two. So one is self-belief. Two is learning how to frame, pre-frame, things like that. And then lastly, number three is really knowing that no matter what, if you have a good product, a good service, if you frame things well, the third thing is cutting out people and being okay with cutting out people who are not part of your world and having the difficult business conversation with your client, letting them know that, look, we're not a good fit. So I actually had someone recently which I might have talked about in a previous video, who went to one of my other clients, texted him and said, hey, you see that Dean's charging this when you could be getting a VSA for this amount by trying to do it yourself? My good client basically said, well, yeah, but Dean has a system where he gets like the best of the best. And the other guy, I knew that a week or two from now, so he stopped paying on the monthly, he made it to where it wouldn't work. And then I knew that he was going to come and say, hey, well, I could find this cheaper over here and so on. So I get that email and it basically says, hey, he said, we are evaluating other candidates and we found some really good candidates and they're much cheaper than what you're giving. Hey, can you renegotiate our contract to be in line with that? I told his account manager who brought that to my attention, let him know that we're going to cancel the service, or we're not going to cancel the service, that we are going to stop service based on this conversation, based on this email, and that the agreement you signed still is in effect. You can stop service at any point in time. I'm not going to keep you as a client and there's no obligation, but because you already said you wanted to cancel, that's fine. Just know that the agreement's still set. And the agreement basically is like, you're going to be paying hefty fees if you think you can take the person that is working for you right now, because that's not how it works, bud. And he responded with, oh, can you resend me the agreement? And then from there, he goes and looks at the agreement and he says, he literally says, oh, that email was sent out by mistake. Please ignore. And can you resend me the invoice so I can pay and keep things going? I told his account manager, no, do not let him. He cannot start up again. Absolutely not. He's cut. He's done. My account manager loved it, by the way. She was like, that's really cool that you are like headstrong about that. And I said, yeah, I don't want anybody being with me who's trying to do that type of stuff, who doesn't see the value in what we're doing. Immediately, you are not seeing any of the value of what we're doing. So why would I even want you around, right? So he ends up then paying an old invoice. He found an old invoice link, ended up paying and saying, okay, I paid and let's restart. Let's keep things going. And I told his account manager, let him know that we cannot continue service because of this and that we just refunded your money. So I refunded his money, and he literally cannot be another client at all because of that situation. He might find some sneaky way, finding a friend who now becomes, it could be something like that. Who knows? But I did that because I believe in my product and service. I had already framed ahead of time in the agreement, in the onboarding, in everything, the expectations, why these guys are so valuable compared to anyone else that you can find. And so when he did that, it showed me he went outside the frame, and he didn't value the product or service. So 3, I know deep down that I'm going to find 2 or 3 people that are way better. And his VSA is going to go to those people. It happens every time. So you have to believe that there's somebody else out there that really truly values what you provide. So if you've got number 1 covered, you have number 2 covered, number 3, you will find that next person because they're looking for you. They need you. And when they need you, they're going to come to you and say, thank you. And that in my case, that goes to somebody who really truly values them. So typical conversations in business, especially with clients, I do not placate to clients. I am super nice. I will do whatever I can to make you successful. But if it's something where if the client, to me, the customer is not always right. I have the service. This is actually one of the things I said into that very first guy is, you came to me because you needed me. My customers come to me because they need me. They need what I have. I am the subject matter expert when it comes to this when it comes to the VSAs and stuff. Nothing against you, but if you could have done it, you should have done it yourself, or would have done it yourself. I am the subject matter expert. You're coming to me for my help. I lay the ground rules of how things work. And so there is no customer's always right. We should renegotiate price. We should do this and bend over backwards. No, if you don't like it, go somewhere else. That's it. And it's not meant to be a mean at all, because if we have what you need and you've been longing for this, then you are going to love it and it's going to benefit you. And if we don't, we are not what you need. Go find the person that you actually need. That is how we roll. That is how I roll. This is how I believe you should roll, especially if you have a product-based, if you have a product-based service or a service-based product, this is how you should roll. Apple does it with their products. You can try and negotiate price as much as possible. It's not going to work. Okay. They know the value. Their iPhone might have cost $30 to make or $100 to make, and they sell it for $500, $600, at $1,500. You can say, hey, look, your parts, I went to the parts list and I saw that your parts, all of it is $60, $70. And then labor is only another $100. How is it that you're charging us so much? They're going to say, do you want the iPhone or not? If not, cool, go get a Samsung. That's literally how they are. And look, they are one of the biggest businesses in the world. Know your self-worth, learn how to frame, especially frame your value, and know that you are going to get other customers that know your value. All right. So it's Dean Soto, and I will catch you in the next video.